guys, and welcome back to the Chaotic Kids channel, where I, Michelle, document my life here on YouTube as I try to become a full-time author, while also traversing the world's multiple personalities. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around. But today we are going to be doing the last year-end recap of 2025, moving into 2026, and the goals that I have for 2026. So let's get into it. Guys, so today we are doing the last recap of 2025. This is going to be more my author life. So if you guys do not know, I am somebody who really wants to become a full-time author in my 3 different pen names that I write under. There's Grace, Shelly, and Maris. Shelly writes the Bugstopia books, which are those ones back there. She primarily writes for not young adults, for children like middle schoolers, and possibly even younger than that. But these are books that were inspired by our nieces and nephews. The Bugstopia world, it was inspired by our nephew, who at the age of 7 asked us to create him a world, and that is what we did. The book series is not complete yet, unfortunately, even though I'm going to be taking a break from it for a while. So, yeah, it's not the best news, but, we are going to continue to work on it in 2026. We'll go into more details on that, but the other pen names that I have are Grace, who writes young adult Christian fiction books. On top of that, writing books about different saints. She is the one that we basically are pursuing more, focusing more on our religious standpoint, like just becoming closer to God in our faith kind of thing. And then Maris writes high fantasy adventure stories. Her main project that I say main project she's working on. She hasn't actually started the book series yet. But that's mostly because we have 2 other pen names we're trying to get off the ground. And honestly, if Maris doesn't ever get published books, I think she'll be devastated. But at the same point, she kind of understands. But also, we're 25, so we have plenty of years to worry about things, But so Maris's World is a series that we've kind of had in our head since we were like 18, maybe even younger than that, like maybe like 15. But it's just a world that we've just been fascinated with. It's just a fascinating world that we have that basically revolves around colors, which I now realize, like, in our like universe, like with all of our pen names and stuff. We do revolve around a lot around colors. Like, so Bugstopia, like that green color of books, represents season 1 of books. Then season 2 is a different color. Season 3 will be a different color and stuff. So it all relatively means the same thing. And then in Grace's books, one of the young adult books we're doing, he has a main color, and he has alters within him that all have their own colors. So it's all just like this one color represents that book in that season. But in Maris's, it is more the color represents the different species of different fantasy creatures. And all their names have to deal with colors. So yeah, it'll be interesting once we get started on it. But yeah, so I think I've done enough rambling. Let's get into the income report of how much money I made in 2025, and how much money I spent. So, in 2025, I only sold 11 books, and I made $103. Now, that $103 also includes the $45 that I charged my grandma for her books, the book that I wrote and published for her, that she gave to her kids for Christmas. So really the income would probably be like 40, maybe like $50, like $53 maybe. No, it'd be probably 40. $43, I don't know, something like that. It wasn't that good. Like I said, I only sold 11 books. But this, like, $100 is about on par for what I've been making since 2023. I wish I could sell more books. I try to market it, but I'm honestly very terrible at marketing. And I'm really wanting to get back into doing school visits, because I really do enjoy the school visits, especially considering, like, the only books I have released right now are the Bugstopia books, and the Bugstopia books are a massive series, but they're also intended for kids. And it's hard. I feel like it's hard to market to kids on the platforms that I'm using, just because like they're kids. I don't think they should be on social media. So then I have to get through the parents and stuff. Yeah, so it's just interesting. But I do want to get back into doing school visits because I do enjoy talking to the kids. And it just shows, like, especially kids around here, like, I am from around here. Like, I'm from Northeast Kansas. All the schools that I plan on going to are in Northeast Kansas. And it just shows the kids, like, hey, you can be from nowhere and still make a name for yourself, kind of thing. But yeah, so I want to do more school visits, hopefully do school fairs, and hopefully make more money. But unfortunately, we gotta talk about how much money I spent this year. And I spent almost $1,600. I'm like $2 short of spending $1,600. Um, Not a great time. Like, if I, like, obviously the profits are not, like, I'm not making any money. And especially considering that for the longest time, was really wanting to push out season 2 of Bugstopia. That's where a majority of my money went to. It went towards art to get books published, or possibility of getting books published. I spent $465 on artwork, which was 3 different artworks, or 3 different commissions. One was two different character designs, which cost like $105. Then a cover image that costed 180, I think. Yeah, 180. And I got another cover image that was done for 180. Yeah, so I would say that's like for the artwork that I get, and like it's the artwork, I completely agree, like I should charge that, like she should charge that if not more. But yeah, it's just that's the where most of my money goes to whenever I get back to publishing. Because otherwise I do all the main work, and like I do have an editor who I pay $20 every other book that I get for Bugstopia. And then I do have a beta reader, but she only charges me 10. And honestly, my beta reader and my editor have told me like I don't have to pay them, but I'm like, it feels weird taking time out of my day to ask for you to do, taking time out of your day to then pay you, like, to have you read something that I worked on. And, like, the reason they don't, like, they say not to pay, like, they don't want to be paid is just because they enjoy the work so much. But, I'm still going to pay them. And also with my book, like, another thing that really costed a lot of money this year was the physical stock of books that I have. So, like, all the books back there, even this little cubby hole back here, that's where I keep my proof copies at. And I spent a lot of money, over $400 on books this year. I shouldn't have to spend that much more on it next year. Just because I'm not publishing any books, and like honestly, the only books that I have to restock are these books over here, because those are my physical inventory that I'll take to schools and stuff. But I think I have like roughly 6 copies of each, except for the omnibus, which I only have 3 of. So that should be able to hold me pretty good. Also, another thing that I did was I sent my illustrator, editor, and beta reader all a physical set of all physical copies of the book. So like on Amazon, on KDP, I will order each one of the books. Then I'll ship it to my editor, illustrator, beta reader. Actually, not my editor. My editor lives in town, so I can just give it to her. But yeah, I do all this. Yeah. So it cost me like, one costed me like $50. The other one cost me, I think 50, like almost a little more, like $60. But that was just because she lives out of state, out of country. So yeah, that one costed a little more. But I do that just so then they can have a physical copy, like they can see the physical proof of their books that they helped make. But yeah, so most of my money went to artwork, edits, beta reads, and physical copies of books. You know, all sounds really reasonable. Yeah. It's sad, but this is kind of what happens when you have to be an author. Well, what you have to go through as somebody who's wanting to be a creative and an independent author. And like all those books back there, like I will make a profit off of them once I sell them. I just have to sell them, kind of thing. Yeah, so that's kind of all I have to do for the income. Next, we'll go into word counts. Okay, guys, so now we are going to get talking about word counts. Something to note, I I do suffer with some mental health issues. But you also have to keep in mind, like, I don't really have a family or like other responsibilities to do other than write. Like, I don't have a husband, I don't have, or a partner, I don't have kids. In my immediate family, we only, like, we see them for maybe like an hour or two every, like, as often as we want. But other than that, our time is spent writing. And like, if we're not writing, we're watching YouTube videos, and that's just mildly depressing when all you do is watch YouTube videos. Um, but so we don't have all the other responsibilities that many people do, so that's why our word counts are slightly higher. But we also do have mental health, so sometimes our word counts are less because we struggle with our mental health, especially with depression. Um, but yeah, like, it's just so funny to see how at the beginning of the year, where we were really, really struggling with our mental health, which then led up into August of going to the mental hospital. Like, it just proves, like, our 77,000 words were like not good words. And then the second half of the year, we were working on different projects, but also were like keeping track of how many words we wrote in our journal too, that we then sent to our therapist. And I'll say the words that we sent to our therapist have really, like, helped us, like I don't know how, like, obviously journaling helps a lot, but like it's made us feel like our therapy sessions are better, like are working towards something. Like, before we just did talk therapy and just I felt like rambled. But now I feel like we are getting somewhere. It only took us like 5 years to do, but we're getting somewhere. But so let's get into it. So in the grand total for the year is 228,510 words. Like I said, the beginning half of the year, we wrote like 77,000. We almost doubled that in the second half of the year, where we wrote 150,000 words. Roughly on average for the 12 months, we wrote about 19,000 words a month. Yeah, I think that's good. I would like it to be better, but also, like, when I mean I want it to be better, I want to, like, write like 400,000 words a year. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Especially considering I had jobs at the beginning of the year, and I'm like, I, like, there's no reason. Like, yes, I would love to reach like 400,000 words written every year, but there's no point. Like, there is a point, but at the same point, like, as long as I'm not burning myself out. Because if I feel like if I burn myself out, then we'll have bigger issues. But if I just enjoy what I'm doing and let do it at my pace, it'll be fine. So don't have word count goals. Like, I keep count of words just for sheer fun of it. And, like, yes, I do. Like, in 2026, I would like to at least write like 18,000 words a month. But I'm like, I'm not gonna always reach that. I would just like an average of 18,000 words a year. 18,000 words a month. But so some of my greatest months, writing wise, were months that I started counting my journaling words. And that was in September, November, and December. December was by far the best month, where I wrote 35,000 words. November was close second. Well, actually, it was September, where I wrote 33,000 words. I don't know why I had such energy during September, but apparently I did. And then in November, I attempted the Rough Draft Challenge where I wanted to write 30,000 words in a month. Ideally, it was supposed to be in the JJ's project, but I didn't do that. So I just counted all my words and I got 31,000. Some months that were not so great were March, April, and May. In May, I only wrote 4,000 words. I say only. I understand that not everybody is, but this is just my thing. Is I only wrote 4,000 words. And I don't even remember how many days I wrote that month. But yeah, it was a rough month. Yeah, so it just happens. But yeah, so those are my word count goals. This isn't the best year that I've had writing wise. The best year that I've had writing wise was back in 2023. Back in 2023 was the first time that I actually kept track of word counts. I've been writing since 2019, but I didn't have a journal that I hold on, let me pull it out. I didn't have a specific notebook where I kept word counts and projects I was working on. I didn't have it laid out for each day and every month that I worked, kind of thing. The first time I did that was in 2022. But in 2022, I couldn't understand the word counts and stuff. Everything just, it's pretty bad whenever I can't understand what I was doing, and it was just a hot mess. But 2023 was whenever I could understand my word counts and stuff. Yeah, but 2024 was a pretty bad, I say pretty bad month, but I think I only wrote 188,000, which is still good. It's just, considering at that time, I was still leaning more towards unemployment, didn't have a job, so I could have done better kind of thing, so I don't know. But yeah, like I said, don't compare yourself to me. Everybody has different standards, not different standards, but everyone has different circumstances that they have. This is just personally what I did and how I would like to accomplish have it differently, but do not compare yourself to me, okay? Next, we'll go into some books that I was working on, /publish, things I'm going to be working on, so yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so books that I published this year. So I published 8 books. But most of these books were already previously published. A good portion of them were my Bugstopia books, which are those books back there. There are 6 books that are paperbacks and 1 book that is an omnibus. We'll go into a little more detail on each one of them. But yeah, they were mostly republishing books. The 8th book that I published was a project I did for my grandma. Something that I just did for a Christmas present for her, a Christmas present from her to my aunts and uncles who all loved the book. And in next year, I'm going to be doing a project from all of my family, all of grandma's grandkids, kids, great-grandkids, to grandma, about, memories we have of her. I'm okay with talking about this because she doesn't have YouTube and stuff. But yeah. So let's get into the books that I published. So in May, I started doing a quick, rapid release of the first 6 published books of the paperbacks. So book 1 is The Attack on A&T Hill. This is where to start the book series. This is just book 1. If you want to pick it up, it's available on all platforms. Paperback, which is this one, is $9.99. Ebook is 99 cents for book 1 only. But I'll go ahead and read you the back blurb. So it says, "A city of bugs on top. A know-it-all mantis, a family-orientated butterfly. Put them together and you get an amazing partnership. Or at least that's what we're told. Officer Francis Mantis and Officer Renee Monarch are new to the police department. And today they have to switch out their old partners for each other. These officers didn't know much about each other besides their lack of similarities. But they must push past their differences to solve the break-in at A&T Hill, the biggest company in Bugstopia. Along the way, they find a connection to each other and form a friendship that'll last forever." So this is basically just setting the groundwork for Bugstopia. Go check it out. Highly suggest it. Like I said, $9.99 for the paperback, 99 cents for the ebook. yeah, super great. Book 2 came out in May as well, like 2 weeks after. This is The Research of Ants. I'm not going to read you the back blurb, but yeah, this is book 2. This book is where the ebooks go to $2.99 per book, while the paperbacks are still 99 cents. Then book 3, the case that goes cold, is next. This one came out, I think, in June. I think. Let me check. Yeah, this one came out in June. Then book 4, The Surge of Power. This one came out in June as well? Question mark? Yes, came out in June. Actually, it came out in June in 2024 too. So this one's book 4. Then book 5. This one is the biggest book in the series so far. This one came out in, I think, July, if I'm correct. Yes, this one came out in July. The Land That Divides, books 5. Then book 6 came out in July as well. This is the end of the the first set of books, like the first season of Bugstopia. Again, this is all the paperbacks, $9.99. Ebooks for books 2 through 6, $2.99. But yes, this is where the first season of Bugstopia concludes. Came out all rapid release every 2 months. These are primarily the books that I sold of the 11 copies of books. Yeah, people haven't bought books 1, 2, and 3 yet, but they have bought books 4, which doesn't make sense. But anyways, then in, I believe, August, August of 2025, I released the Omnibus, which is a hardcover of all 6 of the books in the Bugstopia books, so the previous 6 books, and a couple extra scenes that I have written that eventually I would like to get released into picture books, or maybe to expand even farther. To divide up the books, I have it set with the cover art on each book, about 550 pages? Hold on. Okay, about 510 pages long. About 510 pages long. This is only available on Amazon. It is $45.99 for the hardcover. I don't think I think this is just going to be a Amazon exclusive, just so it's Amazon exclusive. Yeah. This has got released. And that's primarily all the books that I focused on, releasing. But like I said, I did do a project for my grandma. This is just a book that I did for my aunts and uncles. Stories of grandma, what grandma remembered from each of the kids' childhoods. She enjoyed it. The kids enjoyed it and stuff, which always makes me happy to know, my aunts and uncles enjoyed what I did. This is the second, actually, I guess it's the third physical books, physical written / printed off works that I have done for my grandma and myself. So the first one that I did was a recipe book after my mom passed away. And then the second one was a calendar that had each of grandma's kids, and then each month was a different kid kind of thing. And then it went to grandkids and the great-grandkids and stuff like that. And then obviously this is the third project, and like I said, I am doing a fourth project, which I'm planning on just printing off copies for grandma and maybe her kids, but I'll see if any of my cousins want to buy a book too. But yeah, so those are the books that I published. Some other things that I finished up were 4 picture books under the Grace Kids pen name. These are picture books that are about saints. I have Saint Carlo Acutis, Saint Francis of Assisi, Saint Stephen, or Stephen, I guess. I don't know. His name has PH in it, so I say Stephen, but others say Stephen, so I don't know. And then Saint Maria Coretti. Those are the 4 books that I did. I sent them off to some people to read just so I can get some feedback on it. Haven't heard anything back yet. But, yeah, I will eventually send them to my editor just to get an edit on them, but yeah. And then I also did 3 chapter books, which are part of the Bugstopia books. Needing to get back into writing them. The problem is I have like 2 books written in what I'm calling the Insectopolis PD series, and one that is book 15 in the Bugstopia PD series, if that makes sense. Yeah. I didn't know at the beginning of the year like what I was doing with Bugstopia. Yeah, that was the problem. And now I'm here like, do I continue this? Do I continue this? I don't know where to continue, kind of thing. And then some things that I was primarily working on this year were JJ's Story, which is my young adult Christian fiction book about a character who's got DID and has alters as he goes through life, trying to understand himself. That also has a religious twist to it. I want to do more picture books about saints because I don't know how many saints there are, but there are a lot of saints. Ideally, like, this is my ideal goal, and like I know like I'm obviously not like I'm getting a traditional publisher for it, but if I was to release it, I think I would have a not like a young adult novel written every 18 months and get published every 18 months. And then I would have a picture book get released every one a quarter kind of thing. That would be my ideal goal. Like I said, obviously it'll be different with a traditional publisher and stuff, but that's just my goal. And then I would like to get back into writing Bugstopia books, at least get season 3 done, which is book 15 through whenever it ends. I think this will be the conclusion to the Bugstopia PD series, like the Bugstopia set story, but then we'll go into different stories like the Insectopolis, so different cities, different problems and stuff. Which, like I said, I have written books 1 and 2 of the Insectopolis series, and those books, my editor was enjoying them when I was first releasing them. Well, first writing and sending them to her. Yeah, I enjoyed writing them, but then I was like, it feels weird going from Bugstopia to go there, but I also need to finish Bugstopia, and it was just all sorts of confusing. So, yeah, gonna have to get back onto it. But yeah, those are the projects I worked on, published, finished, stuff like that. And now we are going to go into the goals that I have for 2026. Okay, so some goals for 2026. So I have all my goals and listed out in this book. This is just going to be my notebook that I use for 2026. Yeah, my journaling's notebook stuff for 2026. I have 8 goals that I would like to accomplish in 2026. The first one is write and print off in the memory book that I'm doing for Grandma. I would ideally like this done by Christmas. Preferably have this like primarily done by November, just how I can print it off. But I might want to push up the date that I have. Like, I originally told my aunts and uncles October 31st, but I might need to push that up because otherwise I might be like writing like 30,000 words in a month kind of thing to get all the memories in kind of thing. But I have already started working on the cover of it. I think I enjoy the cover. It's just something I'm working on like a little bit on the side. It'll look a lot similar to the one that I have now. Well, the ones that I have for Grandma. But yeah, it'll be interesting. The next one is to write and query JJ's Story, or at least like query possibly the picture books as well. I'm wanting to get an agent for it, for Grace's pen name. It like for JJ's Story, it is going to probably take me at least a year to get it all done because I am still writing the book. I am wanting to edit the book. So I need to finish writing it. I need to send it to my editor. I need to send it to beta readers and sensitivity readers. I'm sending it to sensitivity readers just because it obviously does have a lot of stuff to deal with mental health, and that's kind of the whole Grace pen name for the young adults is going to have a lot to deal with mental health and how like it reflects into the spiritual Catholic faith kind of thing. So that'll be something interesting. Then I'm wanting to reread the whole Bugstopia books to then to lead into writing season 3. So far, I've read books 1 and 2. I'm reading book 3. Just taking time. I'm taking a lot of time to do this. Probably could have easily pushed it out by now, but I just haven't. So reread Bugstopia, then write Bugstopia Season 3. I would like to write down each month the ideas that I have for Maris's world. I don't really talk about Maris that much just because I am trying to get Grace and Shelly off the ground, and Maris just is a whole adventure that I'm wanting to do as an older adult. I say this like I'm wanting to start writing it at 30, and like I know that's not an older adult, but like for me to have a little more experience under my belt, and like especially with Grace's books, I'm already feeling like I am definitely growing as an author, and I would just like to continue growing in that before I go into Maris's world kind of thing. Then I would like to do more craft shows, school visits, book fairs, author visits kind of thing. Obviously, to get more books released and stuff. I have 4 copies of books that I'm ready to give out to schools. The only reason I haven't is because schools are closed right now for Christmas break. I also need to mention this on, I have a second YouTube channel that is specifically used for Author Shelly. So Author Shelly Kits Middle Grade Author, I think is what it's called. And I am wanting to do the read-through of all 6 of the books in Bugstopia. I'm working on book 3 right now. I'm on chapter 7. I just recorded 5 and 6, so I'm doing 7 and 8 tomorrow or something like that. Those are something that I want to get done. Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing with that channel right now, and I'm also like, maybe I shouldn't have had that channel be separate, but I don't know. And then I also want to read 3 books, which doesn't sound like a lot, but honestly, I'm not the best, like, sit down and read books in my spare time kind of thing. But yeah, those are some goals that I have. In this notebook, I've also done a lot of journaling, like, things that, like, I just have questions for myself and, like, yeah, just questions for myself and things like that. But I will say, I know people do a lot of, like, they also usually have, like, a word of the year kind of thing. So I do have a word of the year that I chose, which is blossom. I can't remember what my 2025 word of the year was, but 2026, I would really like to blossom in all aspects of my life, like spiritual, religious. Well, spiritual and religious are the same thing, but I want to grow in my spiritual life, in my personal life, in my author life, all of my aspects of my life. I want to blossom in. I've been thinking of that word for a while, so it just feels right. I can't remember what 2025's word was, but in 2026, I would like to blossom and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to update you guys on. I'm sorry this was such a long video. If you made it to the end, please leave a like or comment down below, blossom, I don't know, or comment down below something. And yeah, I will see you guys this video is going out on January 1st, but I will see you guys with the next video where I'm probably doing some writing on November 1st. I mean, not November 1st, doing some writing on January 1st. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys later, okay? Bye!